NBA suspending Ja Morant for 25 games without pay for conduct detrimental to the league. Now, additionally, the Grizzlies star will be required to meet, quote, certain conditions, close quote, before his return, and he will not be allowed to participate in any public league or team activities. Morant issued a statement. He apologized for his behavior, for his actions, and he promised to, quote, be a better man than what I've been showing you, close quote. Bring us on camera. This is maybe the most important sports discussion that will be had this offseason. This is when sports transcends what occurs on the court, on the field, on the diamond into real life. This conversation we're about to have, it impacts you, it impacts all of us, because it isn't just a sports dialogue, it is a life dialogue. So thanks for being here for it. Shady, I will tell you honestly, I think 25 games is too light. I think it's too light. Because if you punish somebody, you don't punish somebody just to do so. You punish somebody to change the course of behavior in the future. And if the punishment is too light, it ain't gonna change the behavior. I think about it personally. LA. They give out a whole bunch of parking tickets. But when I really count the costs, $75 parking ticket, $35 parking garage, I'ma just take the ticket. That punishment is not great enough to change my course of behavior. Now, the second I see you will get towed, oh, you better believe I'm not parking there. Because now, once you talk about towing me, now I got to go to the impound lot. That's enough of a punishment to deter me from acting in the manner that I was previously acting in. Punishment is not just for the sake of an action, 2-5. In my mind, punishment should deter you from ever thinking about doing what you did to be punished in the first place. 25 games ain't enough. 25 games? What's that? What's that, Shady? So to me, punishment too light. Is it too light in your mind?
No, I think it's too harsh.
Whoa.
They should have gave Ja Morant 15 games. And you talking about 15 or $75 parking tickets, $35 for towing or whatever it was?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
This man's lost almost $50 million. That's harsh enough. I think he's what? He's not eligible for the first team All-NBA.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? So that's $40 million he lose right there. I think all the endorsements he's lost from these actions. And then if you add on, even like the suspension now, going to 25 games, that's $300,000 a game he's missing.
Sure.
So when I look at this situation, it's like, okay, how can we help Ja Morant? I don't think suspending him for 25 games is going to help him be better. There should be more, I think, stipulations as far as more community service, more making more awareness for him, more mentorships, things like that. And he has to go through these programs compared to the sending a guy out of the game that he loves. This guy dreamed of playing basketball his whole career.
Sure.
And my thing is to make him go through that missing games. What does that really do? It's other ways to touch players, not about just making them miss games and making them miss money, because we do want this guy to take care of his family.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Yep. Let's say that, I'll knock on wood, but if things, go wrong and then 12, 13 years later, he don't have no money, it's like, dang, well, y'all took $40, $50 million from the kid. I'm always trying to see the better of a player. How can we help Ja Morant the right way? And I don't think 25 games is doing that.
Slick, don't you think there is a misconception, right? And I've been guilty of saying it, that, Ja Morant lost out on $40 or $50 million, or he's given up $40, $50 million. You can't count money you don't have. The $40 or $50 million that we talk about Ja Morant losing, which I have publicly said he's losing, was based upon him making an All-NBA team, first or second team last year. It would have been an escalator in his contract.
Yep.
But it's not like he had the $50 million and then lost it.
Yeah.
He was just eliminated from the opportunity to gain it. Slick, is this punishment, is this suspension too light?
No, it is not too light. Because of the words, not the games. I'm not hung up on the games. And Shady, I think we are close to agreeing on this, even though you think it should be fewer games. I don't think it should be fewer games. I think it should be whatever games or whatever time is required for him to get right. Because I've been around Ja, and he's not a dumb guy. And he's not as much as his behavior might suggest elsewhere, otherwise, he's not a careless or reckless guy. So it tells me that there's some issue that he's dealing with that's causing him to behave in these ways.
Sure.
And I want him to have whatever time is necessary to be able to address that and understand that whatever is causing him to behave this way needs to change. He needs to address that issue. Because looking at it, you're right in terms of just the 25 games. Gilbert Arenas, gun issue. Javaris Crittenton, gun issue. Those guys missed half a season. They were suspended in January for the remainder of the year. So suspending Ja in this instance for half a season would have been, the precedent would have been set for that. But I'm just not concerned about the time. And I think one of the other things that kind of shocked me in terms of it being light was that it said in the statement that he told the league, this will not happen again. Promised Adam Silver, this will not happen again.
Right, okay.
And it happened again.
Yeah.
So you give the commissioner your word that I'm not going to do this anymore, and then you go ahead and do it. If I'm the commissioner, and I dare say the previous commissioner, David Stern, he would have come down a lot harder because he was in charge when it happened.
See, that's my issue, though. Like, okay, so a young man, he made a promise. I won't make these same actions again. And it happened.
Yeah.
That happens, Slick. That's human. That's being human. That's being a 23-year-old kid. You got kids, right?
Yeah.
You tell your kids do something. Oh, Dad, I won't do it again, I promise. And it happens again. That's part of growth. But so I think instead of trying to just hammer the punishment down, let's find ways to touch him in different ways than taking his money and not letting him play. The National Basketball Players Association, they were super unhappy with the length of his punishment.
Yeah, saw that.
And they're all fighting back because, these are one of our players. How can we better fit our player to get that growth, get that learning, okay, I made a mistake, how can I not do this again? I don't think that's the answer by taking the sport that he loves away.
Shady, let me ask you this, because you have been a superstar athlete for more than half of your life, at least me growing up, and Shady, I would assume for you, if your parents were trying to punish you, and more so than punish you, let's change the verbiage. If they were trying to get your attention, they got to take away something that you love. That's what people do when they're trying to get your attention. Whenever somebody holds something hostage, whether it's in a Hollywood cinema movie or whether it's quite literally in reality with parents, they're trying to get your attention by taking away something you love. In my mind, the only way to get Ja Morant's attention is to take away something that he loves, the game of basketball. It will be returned. But if you only take it away, in my mind, for 25 games, you're not going to get his attention. He missed 8 games this season. 25 is 3 times that 8. But I do not know if 25, Shady, is enough to really get Ja Morant's attention. I feel you want to find a way to help get Ja better, but don't you think you got to get his attention?
So I think that you have a point, right? My son, he does something bad. He's 11 years old. I take stuff away from him. It depends what it is. So let's say math, right? He's not the best at math. Smart kid, not the best at math. And sometimes he doesn't do the extra work he's supposed to do. So I'm not going to take some away from him. I'm going to give him more work. Ja Morant, Des Bryant, he had issues with the Cowboys. What did they do? They suspended him with a whole bunch of games. They gave him a mentor that shouted him every day. Let's make these decisions. Let's go to different classes. Let's talk about it. Those are things that is proactive. Instead of taking games away, they can get a mentor, and Ja Morant can follow him, and they can have these situations and situations that they can talk about.
For sure.
That's better than taking some games away.
Well, and that's what they may be doing, because that's why I'm okay with the 25 games, because it said it's conditional. Like, they're not guaranteeing he's back no matter what after 25 games. There's certain conditions that he has to meet, and then it's 25 games over the course of that absence. So we don't know what those conditions are. We don't know what criteria he has to fill. But if they are things that are getting Ja to a better place, and he can do that within the 25 games, then I'm good. Again, it's not a matter of the time. It's a matter of whether it affects the change. And I hear you in terms of not being convinced that 25 games is going to affect the change. I don't know, but for me, it's more important about how are they treating whatever is causing him to behave. Because, Shady, I hear you. Like, you make a mistake, and then you make another mistake.
Part of growing.
That's human. But he's had more than one episode. He's had more than one.
Let me ask you this: do you think Ja Morant is a troubled kid, or you think it's more of this maturity?
It's a good question.
I think it is. It's probably more maturity. He's 23 years old.
Most 23-year-old kids, and I've been there with millions of dollars, I wasn't mature either.
I get it.
That's the truth. So my thing is, instead of the hard punishments, let's do things to help this kid mature. Because at 22, 23 years old, in the NBA or in college or just get out of college, they be immature. You don't be ready for the world.
But here's the problem, Shade.
What's the problem?
You're talking about
What's the problem?
You're talking about $1 billion business.
Yeah,
I can acknowledge
that's cool.
that you're only 23 years old. I can acknowledge that I'm giving you way more than
the money don't change your age mentality, though. It doesn't change that.
No, but it changes the way the NBA is going to approach it.
Well.
Like it's not a babysitting service. They're not waiting for you to mature. If you're going to impact them negatively, and that's why it's not just having incidents, it's having an incident that sponsorships and hits the bottom line. People that are investing in the NBA are going to look at it, whoa, what's with the gun? What's with your athletes brandishing guns?
I can guarantee you this. Every sponsorship, everybody wants to be associated with the NBA, it will still be there. Because there was guns that happened before Ja Morant, and there may be another case after Ja Morant. That's not going to change because you're dealing with young 20 years, 19, 20, 21, 23. These are young kids you give them millions of dollars to because there's always going to be issues.
I
don't think the answer is, oh, you know what? Damn it, we're going to hammer the nail on this dude. No, that's not the answer.
I'm saying
because you're always going to have this type of mentality when you're giving these young kids that money.
No, clear. I'm not saying just punish him.
That's what it sound like. Sound like you just like, hey, man, throw away the key, lock him up.
No, that's why I said the conditions. What conditions does he have to meet in order to come back?
Okay.
Look, if he could meet those in 10 games, 15 games, I'd be with you. But he had an 8-game suspension. He went to Florida. He got counseling. He did the interview. He said, I'm a changed man.
Let me ask you
and we
this.
didn't see any change.
Let me ask you this, Acho. What's a better storyline, right? If he goes to all these issues, right, they get him some mentorship, help him out, and then he potentially can make an All-NBA if they, if it's a 15-game suspension and a better narrative. I went through a lot. I'm better now. I was immature. Now I'm more mature. Like, that's a better storyline for the NBA.
It is. It is. But also, Shady, one, as a parent, as a former pro athlete, as an elite athlete, I feel like you know even better than I that there's a great responsibility that comes with the position that Ja Morant is in.
That's true.
And because Ja Morant is, if nothing else, the face of the Memphis Grizzlies, there's a responsibility that comes with that. You know better than anybody. Ja Morant at 22 years old don't need a grown babysitter. So now he gonna have somebody chaperoning him everywhere he goes. He don't need a babysitter. Like, how disrespectful is that Ja Morant gonna have somebody walking with him everywhere he goes or shadowing him everywhere he goes? Hey, make sure you send me a good night text, Ja. Make sure you text me when you're in your house.
I'm not saying
but
that.
But that's what it gotta be.
I'm not saying that.
That's what it has to be
all
otherwise.
I'm saying is like a big brother role that can relate, right? A lot of us on TV, other people, we can't really relate to Ja Morant. As much as I've done in my career, I can't relate to Ja Morant. I didn't have $200 million at freaking 23 years old, right? So going from a small player in college to a big star, why not get him a guy that's like a Zach Randolph? If Zach Randolph played for the Memphis Grizzlies like he was back, like Zebo was, Ja Morant won't be doing that. I would bet that.
It's fascinating. I mean, here's what I believe, Slick. I believe that eventually for Ja Morant, it has to come from within. I think any change that is actually going to be substantial change in your life, it has to be intrinsic. It can't be based on any sort of extrinsic motivating factor.
No influence. You don't think influences matter?
Influences matter.
Yeah,
but eventually, if you're going to really make that switch, you have to be the one to make the switch. You can't switch because of money. You can't switch because of fame. You can't switch because of mom and daddy. You can't switch because of mentor. Can't switch because of Adam Silver. You can't switch because of head coach. Ja Morant is going to have to decide for himself once and for all, both as a leader in the community and as a father, he got to make a change for himself.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.